Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. We're heading to the NFL, and we've got Denver at Tampa Bay. The undefeated Broncos, they took care of Cincinnati last week. In Denver, Tampa Bay, what happened to them against the Rams? Not so much, that they lost the game, the fact that it was a 37-32 shootout, that surprised the heck out of me last week.
Tampa Bay, at the Tuesday meeting, we talked about there was a lot of people like Tampa Bay. They like the spot for Tampa Bay, and the line was being bet up. Then I was watching the day of the game. A lot of money came against Tampa Bay, and these are day of the game bets. These are the guys that are betting limits. They wait till the last minute to bet. I don't think the public had much to do with that game at all. So, but the wise money late in the week was smart money, and I do have some concerns about Tampa here too, because Tampa, with their team, they struggle under pressure, and Denver puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback when they play. Denver's also in every game this year they've won a turnover battle. Now you can't predict turnovers. But if you were going to ask anybody with some knowledge who's going to win the turnover battle, most people would say it would be Denver here.
With their pressure defense.
With the pressure defense. So that's two things, I think, point to Denver here against Tampa. But it's also second week back-to-back, rookie quarterback on the road, and he looked really good in that last game. But if I had to play this, I'd lay the points with Denver, but luckily I don't have to.
Preston?
I'm in the same boat. I'm not going to be making a play. But I think a lot of people expected Tampa Bay to be the right side last week. The Rams hadn't scored a touchdown all year, and then they scored a ton against Tampa. And the defense obviously has some issues. If you're giving up 37 to the Rams, that's a problem. The week before they gave up 40+ to the Cardinals, which would have been more, except the Cardinals were up by 30-something, and they were able to take their foot off the pedal. So I'm suspect to say that taking +3 is the sharp side here, when I think a lot of people probably will dip again, double dip, so to speak, on the Buccaneers. I'm going to stay away. I was very, very impressed by Trevor Siemian last game. First 2 weeks, sure, at home, and you have help from the defense with the turnover battle, winning that. They couldn't run the ball against Cincinnati. I had actually laid through Cincinnati. I thought it was a great spot to back them. And instead of, just force-feeding, C.J. Anderson or Devontae Booker, they actually let Siemian just loose. In the second half, he threw for 4 total touchdowns, and basically they were able to win the game because of that. If he's a guy that they can really just open up, the entire playbook to, or when they need to throw downfield consistently, the Bengals weren't ready for it. The Jets were able to throw on the Bengals' pass defense in week 1, and Denver did it again here. Trevor Siemian might be legit. So if that's the case, yeah, I kind of lean with Bryan where, if I had to make a play, I guess I would probably just take Denver because they're the much better team right now. But again, we don't have to in this spot.
Yeah, I actually do have an opinion on this one, and I have a strong opinion on it. I'm on the home dog here. And I was on Denver last week because it was a horrible spot for Cincinnati. They were coming off the Pittsburgh game. A lot of bad blood between the Steelers and the Bengals. And, of course, I follow the Steelers very closely, being the hometown kid from Pittsburgh. That's become Bengals-Pittsburgh as much or more than the Ravens and Pittsburgh rivalry has been. And, the way they lost that playoff game the year before, Cincinnati was, they put a lot into that game and they came out, and I just felt they were going to be flat, playing a physical Steeler team and then having to come back and play another physical defense in Denver. I thought it wasn't a good spot for them. Now this week, for me, it's Denver's the team that's not in a good spot. They played what was supposed to be a playoff caliber team, Cincinnati, last week. They're playing the second week in a row on the road, both on the Eastern, time zone. This is a team that, and I know it's only 2 weeks sample size, but teams that have played back-to-back road games so far this year, they're only 4-2 against, or excuse me, they've lost 4 out of 6. And you've got them now as a road favorite, going from a road dog to now a road favorite. The stock dropped dramatically on Tampa Bay last week because of that performance. I think we're getting value here, and it's one thing to have a rookie quarterback on the road catching points with a great defense. It's a different story having to lay the points with it. And that was one of the other things, Gil's podcast that we do. That was my game of the week on Gil's podcast last week. And I said, my formula since I was knee-high to a pup was you give me a better defense getting points, I'm always going to start out looking there. And that was the case with Denver last week. Now they're laying points.
I will point in your direction that Denver is a non-conference game. and obviously your non-conference games are less important. Denver in that division, where Kansas City's not nearly as good as what we thought they were going to be, you could see a little bit of a letdown here. Tampa Bay cannot afford a letdown. I'll give you that part, but still on the fence.
What you mentioned with Denver is, and that's something else that I always do look at. Road non-division games are the least important non-conference. Yes, non-conference, least important on a team's schedule. All right, so you got small leans from Bryan and Preston if they had to. I don't have to. I'm going with Tampa Bay. I like them plus the points. And guys, don't forget, every Tuesday at WagerTalk, it's $2 Tuesday. You can check out one capper. We pick the capper, and we offer a best bet from them for just $2. It's a great way to introduce yourself to the site or to a new capper. Check it out each and every Tuesday at WagerTalk.com. We'll be back with more.